Welcome to another Two Joes podcast. Today we have MoJoe on the line as well as his niece, who, MoJoe, I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, my dear niece was recently tested positive. You know, the headline, check us out. Happened 2 days ago, and she was recently in New York, so it's a very easy line to draw right there. But the great news that I'm sure you already suspect, she's doing well. She has not encountered one of the worst aspects of this infection, and that is trouble breathing and debilitating coughing fits. Those are really the things that you worry about when this virus is detected. And dear niece, would you confirm to everybody that you have not had a serious coughing fit through this whole thing?
Yeah, no, I haven't had any bad coughing. I'd also like to clarify I tested positive for COVID-19. Nothing else.
Okay, did I say something different?
No, you just didn't mention, you just didn't say what I tested positive.
You're absolutely right.
We've been talking about COVID-19 for days now, so I guess we just assumed everyone would know. But yes, very good point to make. Good clarification there.
That is an excellent point. So, wow. When did you return to New York City?
So I got back from New York on the 14th of March, and I'd been there since the 9th.
Okay. Yeah, right in the hot spot. And could we ask, how did you first feel like you wanted to go and get a test done and get this confirmed or rejected? What were you feeling when you decided?
Well, yeah, so I started feeling sick about a week ago from today. Today's and oh man, I was really hesitant to get a test because I really didn't want to waste any medical resources if I just had a cough or, just a cold.
Mm-hmm.
But I was feeling pretty bad, and I was talking to my mom, and she finally freaked me out enough to call the CDC or the COVID-19 hotline on Friday. So I was feeling bad on a Wednesday, and then I ended up calling by Friday.
Okay. And did you find it efficient when you called? The person or people or the recording was helpful? Did you get good information?
Yeah, very good information. You call and then, you press a couple numbers, and I ended up getting set up with a person I was talking to, and they asked what my symptoms were, if I traveled, if I'd been in contact with anyone. And based on my symptoms and my travel history, they said I qualified for a test.
Yeah, excellent. So, very cool. And they gave you a location to go and get tested. And did they make you a priority at all, or did you have to wait in like a 30-minute line or something?
Well, I went on a Saturday morning, and there's a couple different drive-through testing sites. I went to the one by my house, and so there were probably like 8 stalls for cars to park in. You pull up to, with signs, it's for COVID testing and all that. When I got there, there was only about 4 other cars, and so I pulled into a stall, and then you call the clinic you drive up to and let them know that you're there and you have a test and you've been approved for a test. And you tell them what you're driving, and then they come out in all their gear, and they just do it by, who called first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's great info. Wonderfully described. That is, dear niece. I guess I'll call you dear niece during this cast. And I've asked enough questions in a row, and MoJoe does great research. Did you have something Something you wanted to pitch up?
Well, my question kind of refers to, I was under the impression that the first time you tried to get a test, they denied you. Is that true, or is that something I made up in my head?
Oh, no, first time I tried, I was able to get a test.
Okay.
So.
That's good. So
cool.
So you said you kind of felt symptomatic last week. How are you feeling this week?
This week I'm feeling much better. I haven't had a fever since Sunday. So almost a week without a fever, which is good. That being said, I am so tired all the time. From the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed every night, I'm just exhausted. I usually take a nap or two every day, just to get through the day. But that and some residual nausea have really been my only symptoms this week.
Interesting.
You know, dear niece, I have that same sort of problem, that same symptom, except the disease I have is COVID-50. And what's yours, MoJoe? Are you COVID-51 or something?
Something like that.
COVID-52?
Yeah, I don't even want to say, man.
You know,
so
only naps help. Only naps will help you.
Speaking of what helps, you said you were taking naps, which is good. Did they give you any other ways to self-care? Any recommendations did they give you as far as how to take care of yourself when you have this virus?
I didn't. Yeah, they pretty much just told me to rest. They gave me a handout when I finished my test, like a little sheet with some info. Biggest thing was just to rest and stay away from people. They were really emphasizing, stay away from people. I think the county considers me an infectious person. I think I will tomorrow. Yeah, as long as I don't get a fever. I think that technically for me ends tomorrow. But yeah, pretty much just, drink fluids, treat it like, I'm just comparing it to the flu or a cold, because this is definitely not just been a flu or a cold, but, you kind of just have to treat it the same because there is no treatment for COVID-19. So, just Tylenol, and they did recommend Tylenol over ibuprofen.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just getting some rest.
So did they also give you dietary suggestions? Avoid certain things and take in extra, like bananas or cauliflower or something?
No, I didn't get any of that. Just eat healthy and stay hydrated is kind of what that got left at.
Okay.
I prescribe.
Right on.
I prescribe soup.
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 Yeah.
Soup. Love the soup. Yep.
Lots of soup.
What are you doing for food, dear niece? Like a lot of prepared stuff already, like Grubhub, or are you ordering groceries and they leave it outside for you? What are you doing for food?
I've been doing a little bit of both. I have some food at my house, but I have been ordering a lot of Uber Eats. And the other day I ordered some groceries from Smith, which is nice. But yeah, I'm trying not to order so much Uber Eats. It's expensive. But I'm trying to order from local restaurants and support them during this time. But yeah, mostly ordering online. Awesome that I have the ability and the means to order stuff online, so I'm really fortunate that way.
So,
great.
Speaking of the means, has this affected your job or school in any way?
Yeah, so I have been telecommuting to work since I got back to New York. My office is really smart and shut down a little bit earlier than I think a lot of other places did, and most people have been out of the office, and I've been out of the office since I got back. So I just work from home on my laptop, and then my schooling's all online too. Luckily, school hasn't been too overwhelming. So I've been able to keep up on all that stuff so far.
That's great.
I don't think it's been too overwhelming for you yet, dear niece, because when I spoke with you shortly after your positive test, you said, you know what? I think this COVID-19 get me out of some homework. She actually said that, MoJoe.
I was kidding. But yeah, let a professor know. Maybe so. Let's just get something. We'll see. I haven't tried it yet.
Well, to get to know a little bit more about you then, what are you studying in college right now?
Yeah, I'm studying strategic communication at the U, which is just kind of a mix of comm, business, and marketing kind of rolled into one.
Very cool. Very cool. Right on. So, could I ask you, this might be an uncomfortable question, but would you describe or relive the experience of being tested? What is the actual, how do they administer the test?
Yeah, so like I said, I was waiting in my car, and then two nurses came out, and they were in protective gear, and it's a nasal swab. And
well, swab sounds too soft and too gentle.
Yeah,
it's a big spear.
Yeah.
They put it like an ice pick up your nose, don't they?
Yeah, it's a really long Q-tip, and they prefaced to me that hey, it's a nasal swab. We have to go pretty deep. It's probably gonna hurt a little, but we might have to hold your head. And I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. I'm so appreciative of all medical workers right now. They could have told me to just punch to the face, and I would have been like, yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate what you guys are doing out here. So it is right. So they had me lean my head back on my headrest in my car, and then they stuck it up one nostril, and it felt like it went all the way up to my sinus. I don't know the science behind that, but that's what it felt like. And it hurt really bad, and then they pull it out, but they have to do both nostrils, and the lady had to hold my head, and I was trying to kind of catch my breath because it hurt so bad and be like, oh, 1 sec. But
wow,
we're not messing around. They know they need to get this stuff done. So they were just like, no, you need to do the other one.
Oh, man.
And just did the other one before I could recover. But kind of nice, though, because then I just recovered from both at the same time.
Did they use...
then I thanked for 16 out there.
Professional.
Go ahead.
Did they use the same ice pick on both nostrils?
I'm not positive. I was so disoriented from the first one.
Yeah.
I think they maybe did, but it's entirely possible to use two separate ones.
I wonder if there's a reason not to now.
Yeah,
they might as well.
know.
Yeah. And then they put it in a little test tube. They seal it up. They get your name and address. And then how long before you got the results? Was it very quick?
Yeah, mine was actually quicker than I was expecting. Because I went on a Saturday, so I wasn't sure if they were going to be doing testing over Sunday, but they told me that they'd give it to me in 3 to 5 days if someone would call me. And there's a hotline number you can call to check on your results, but they said, yeah, please don't call that until, after 5 days has passed, because someone should call you. And again, I'm trying so hard not to overload the medical community in any way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I made sure not to call that. But I got my results in 3 days, so I got my results by Tuesday.
Yeah. And you were already quarantining by then too. It's not like you were going out to the gym or, volunteering at places. You were keeping to yourself. You already knew to do that, like most of us knew to do that. So
I was
excellent.
taking it pretty seriously from coming back to New York. I read an article that said anyone who was in New York should just assume they had it or something like that. So I stayed away. When my brother picked me up from the airport, I wore a face mask in the car and kept our distance. So I've just been home. I do feel I'm glad that I think it kind of hit and ended with me. glad I haven't spread it around. That would weigh on me pretty heavily.
I was going to mention an irony to you. Something that's ironic is how actually you might feel a little bit grateful if you feel symptoms, because then to go get tested. Then to stay isolated if you're positive. Then, because there are so many infected right now who feel just fine, absolutely fine. There's no difference, and so they're going about their lives just as I am, just as MoJoe is, and millions of people in the country and around the world. We might be infected and have no idea. So, mild symptoms, I guess, is a wonderful thing here.
Yeah, I'm really glad too, because I was in quarantine for 10 days of, a 14-day recommended quarantine. And it was day 10 that I started finally feeling symptoms. And, it stinks because that Saturday I got tested, my stepbrother got married, and I wasn't able to attend the wedding.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling good. I told him, hey, I'm so sorry, because I didn't know if I was positive or not, but I didn't want to risk it for him and his fiancé and any of his family sick. So I wasn't able to attend that, which is a bummer. And I was trying to support some small businesses. I had a haircut appointment, a lash appointment, to get my lashes done, and I ended up canceling all of them as soon as I started feeling any symptoms. Supposed to be cautious. And I'm really glad that in hindsight, I'm really glad that,
that you knew that, and you felt in such a way that I think I better get tested. You found out you're positive, so now you knew. Then you knew, I should say. And what if you had felt asymptomatic, not one symptom, you would have gone to that wedding, not knowing that you're carrying it with you.
I could have done a lot of people sick.
Yeah. And through absolutely no fault of your own. Zero.
Yeah.
Well, MoJoe, any questions from you? Or
I would like to give her a two Joes salute for taking it seriously and doing the right things. That's awesome. You are a great example for what people should do when they suspect they have it or come in contact with it, or returning from New York. I'd like to ask you. About your classmates and that. Do you have a general idea of how serious they're taking it, or are they just laughing it off, or are they taking it as serious as you do?
Yeah. Even in social media, among people well, in your circle.
Yeah. Do you know people that went to spring break?
Yeah. See, for me, my spring break was the week everything kind of started shutting down. So I didn't have anyone that I knew of that, was out and about, other than myself and people I was traveling with. But, as far as I can tell, most of the people I talk to take it pretty seriously. There have been a few people that, on the strip in Vegas or just saying, it's just a cold. And I understand saying, it's just a cold and, trying to explain symptoms. But, it's a cold that is killing people. And, I'm not going to take that lightly. I have a lot of friends that are immunocompromised. And so certainly they're taking it seriously. I think the worst I've heard has been people, at least in the circles I've been running in, is people just comparing it to a cold and whatever, I'm just staying home, but I know it's just a cold. Pretty nasty cold.
So you said you were traveling with people. Have any of them contracted the virus?
Yeah, so I traveled with one of my friends, and I let them know. They were the first person I told when I tested positive. But they thought I was kidding because they have not had any symptoms. They've been doing just fine. I let them know what my symptoms were so they can keep an extra eye out, but they said they've been feeling fine. So I'm kind of suspicious that I actually got infected on the plane ride home because we were not sitting together on the plane. Our plane was only 22 people were in it. It was a massive plane, just have 22 people in.
Wow.
but I was talking to a girl behind me who had just come back from Spain, and I'm suspicious that maybe us talking so closely, and, she might have been sick. Her travels.
Yeah.
Spain's getting pretty.
Yeah, that would explain why I'm sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, at that time, when you were in that airplane at that very time, those were perfect incubators, or at least not incubators, but places to catch it, because there were people getting on and off those planes for weeks who were infected and coughing in their hands and rubbing their eyes and everything. Those were perfect places to catch this. So I think that's most likely, niece, is you got it on the airplane.
Yeah, it was really interesting seeing an experience in New York, before everything got as bad as it did there. Seeing it in the early stages of that, and also seeing the precautions the airline was taking, because they were taking precautions, and it wasn't enough for me, I guess, but it was very interesting just kind of seeing how people react.
It is,
yeah.
Kind of reacting to it in the early stages of it.
Did you get the impression that was why the plane was so empty, is because of the virus spreading like that?
Oh, yeah. I for sure think that's why. We were flying out of JFK, and the plane was a six. Each row had 6 seats in it, and I had my own row entirely.
Wow.
So it was a pretty huge plane to only have 22 people in it. But I think that was for sure a cause. And there was a lot of people in line heading home at that point too. We flew home early because we were worried about a travel ban being put on interstate travel. Yeah. Because the international travel had just had a ban put in place.
Wow. So this was right when everything started getting shut down.
You what, sorry?
I was going to say, it sounds like it's right when everything started getting shut down, when the alert bells started going off. I think you were, MoJoe was telling me you were in line for the Colbert show, and that night they said, the show's canceled. We're not going to have 700 people in this theater.
Yeah, we got tickets. Yeah, we got tickets to see the Colbert show, and I was really excited. Or I guess the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and I was really excited, and I was second in line out front with my friend, and I ran to the restroom at a Starbucks across the street, and by the time I came back, my friend goes, they canceled it. And I thought they were messing with me. But then the ticket person was like, hey, everyone, have your tickets out so I can scan them and turn you away. The governor, I guess while we were in line, the governor had announced the closure of late night shows because they were all going to shut down on Monday, and we were there on a Wednesday or a Thursday maybe, and everything shut down. Broadway went dark. We had Broadway tickets, and a lot of the Met closed, and it was really interesting being in New York, and
it must have been,
when Broadway goes dark. Times Square was so empty. It was really weird.
Surreal.
Very
that's amazing. It's even more of a graveyard today. I bet you could still see a couple of people out and about, but now every so often I tap into a live feed of Times Square, and it is just a graveyard. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was really incredible to see Times Square like that. And a lot of places. My friend showed me pictures of the Met or the Strip in Vegas. I had another friend who was stuck in Jerusalem for a couple of days because of travel bans, and she was going to all the holy sites, and they were just completely empty. And you've seen pictures of Jerusalem holy sites; they're never empty.
Never. Like Mecca. Yeah. Mecca's never empty either, ever.
Yeah.
And there's nobody there.
Yeah, so it's been really interesting seeing, these big tourist destinations just all shut down. And a terrible trip, don't get me wrong, but it was really a cool experience, I guess, being, kind of experiencing that and being one of the people that was not home when travel bans are getting put on stuff. Definitely was interesting.
Indeed, yeah. So, I've got one more question too. Well, no, actually, I should say, MoJoe, I've got a lot more questions, but I want to give you another chance. You ask such good questions, man.
Oh, I think I'm good for now. Go for it.
Okay. Actually, my first would be how far are we into it? How many minutes? And dear niece and MoJoe, I can keep going for a while here. If
we can let your niece.
Yeah,
we can let your niece go if she's had enough of this. We've got most of our questions answered, and we really appreciate her time.
I think so. Yeah. What else could we ask? I mean, that's what's so cool.
Stuck at home.
Exactly. We're like, have you guys been watching the late night shows? Like all the hosts are just interviewing people over iPhone and Skype and stuff, and it's been kind of fun.
Yeah. It's been
kind of cool.
It's been hilarious.
Yeah.
A lot of it's been. Yeah, it is.
Colbert's got the most.
Some of the best ones you've seen?
I was gonna say Colbert's dog is cracking me up. He's so unruly and so untamable, and Colbert's just trying to get him to cooperate, and it's just hilarious.
Yeah,
yep, the dog.
I've been watching some Jimmy Fallon. He does them from his home with his wife and his daughters. He has the cutest daughters. I'm really appreciative of entertainers that are trekking through, doing what they can.
Absolutely.
We're all stuck at home and we're all bored, and you can only watch The Office so many times.
Bored and a little stressed, we're stressed out about our unsure of future. We don't know how this is all going to pan out, at least I am anyway.
You really don't. Yeah. I was thinking how lucky people are today. And notice I didn't say young people, but just people are, because we're locked down. I'm 50 plus years old now. I don't remember a lockdown like this ever in my life. In all of my 50 years, never one of them like this. But still, how lucky we are that with the internet and the iPhones, we're doing a podcast. A podcast in the pandemic podcast. We should get that name, get that YouTube channel.
That might be the title right there. Yeah. Pandemic Survivor.
Yeah,
even back when I was young, though, I mean, if this happened when I was 8 years old, I still would have felt very lucky because I had Atari. I had Space Invaders. If this thing took 3 weeks, then that's fine. I'll just play Space Invaders and eat live cereal for 3 weeks,
Yeah. I think, it's been nice that, people have the options, or, the people that are lucky enough to have the option to work from home. And my friends have been doing happy hours over, video chat things, and I hosted a game night over video chat. And
you did? You hosted?
I did. I made quarantine bingo. We played bingo and charades over video.
Nice, man. Yeah. How cool. Cool. Well, why don't you put one of those together for the family, dear niece, like you did that game where we had a name taped to our back that we couldn't see, and you had to ask questions to figure out what name was taped on my back. Just start asking questions. That was a Christmas Eve thing, I think, wasn't it? Was that a Christmas Eve or a Thanksgiving? What a special night you made that for us. That was so fun. I'll never forget who I was. No, say that again.
Who were you?
I was James Dean.
Huh?
And before at the end of the night, I guessed James Dean, I had guessed Evel Knievel and Elvis Presley before I got to James Dean.
Oh my gosh.
That was fun.
Oh,
So, MoJoe, do you have any coworkers, friends, colleagues of friends that have tested positive? Do you know anybody?
No, not yet. Knock on wood.
Not yet. Yeah. So, we can talk vectors here for a minute. Disease vectors.
Yeah.
This one's pretty obvious. New York was the vector into my niece. That's where it happened, obviously.
No, I'm going to go with Spain in this one, dude. Spain's been hit really hard, almost harder than Italy at this point, I think. I think Spain has overtook Italy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And New York is now, neck and neck with Spain and Italy, I think, as far as things go. But I think she probably got it from that person coming back from Spain, is my guess, on the plane.
But that still supports, from New York. If she hadn't been in New York, she wouldn't have got it. That was her vector.
That's true.
Yeah.
And New York is still ramping up hard. I mean, there's no flattening of the curve to be seen just yet. So we're still in the early stages of this.
Yeah, it was really interesting. My friend and I, when we were in New York, it was weird. It was like Monday. We're like, oh, people are being dramatic. This isn't a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
No one, I don't think, was really that worried about it at the time. And then we were there for a day and everything was good and fun. And the next day everything was good and fun, but schools are closing down. And we're like, oh, schools are crazy. They're never going to shut down the Utah schools. Next day they shut down and Broadway shut down and, everything kind of just got worse from there. But yeah, it's very interesting to see what New Yorkers were doing.
Did you hear about the Utah? Did you hear about the Utah Jazz player in New York?
Which one?
Well, that French player, what's his name, Gobert? Because he's the one that kind of launched everything. That kind of kicked everybody in the head and let them realize how serious this was and how easy it was to spread. Because they were just thinking about doing shows without audiences at first. That's what Colbert had announced, right? And the NBA was leaning that way. The NHL was leaning that way. The NCAA was leaning that way. And then almost overnight, when Gobert got tested and he was positive, and then almost overnight they said, "Oh, we can't even do that. We're just shutting everything down."
Well, it feels like that certainly here in Utah, because MoJoe and I are such fans of the Utah Jazz, but Rudy Gobert happened the same night, I'll bet, when Tom Hanks found out he got it, and his wife, and many others. This thing started spreading, and that was kind of the linchpin night, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of the straw.
Night.
It was a pivot night, I think. Yeah.
The NBA shut down 2 days later. The March Madness is gone. We start getting declarations of national emergencies all over the place, and
Colbert gets shut down.
Plenty of March Madness. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
What was that, niece?
So I was just saying, there's been plenty of March Madness. There's no fun ones.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, that was a mad March, wasn't it? A mad March.
Yeah. Ooh.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, have you guys been binging on anything? We're all staying home, especially the COVID-19 victim here. Have you guys been? How do you stay busy? What do you do? And how do you keep living? It's a good question.
I will say that my quarantine has been significantly less fun since I had symptoms, because I'm just too tired to do anything. It's just frustrating. I'll play on my laptop for some time, and then I have to take a nap because sitting there and pressing a mouse is too much. But before I was showing symptoms, I was all over the place. I was crafting, I was cooking, I was cleaning the house, getting some stuff done. I vacuumed my garage, it's a really important stuff.
Yeah, keep busy.
Yeah. So, for me, quarantine has been pretty painful in a boredom kind of way since I've been showing symptoms.
You mentioned
back. Sorry, go ahead.
You
please.
mentioned rewatching The Office. Are there any other shows that you watched?
Yeah, I watched Tiger King, like a lot of America.
Yeah.
That was really good. I really like Tiger King. I've also been watching Desperate Housewives, a show from my youth.
Her youth. Wonderful.
But yeah, pretty much those have been my main three: The Office, Desperate Housewives, and Tiger King.
For us, for us, we're kind of.
I wanted to
go ahead.
Go ahead, MoJoe.
I was just going to say, for us, it's been all uplifting, funny movies that we kind of revisited. Like Mamma Mia was a good one to lift our spirits, and what was the other one? Pitch Perfect with Anna Kendrick. Those are always fun to watch. Just silly, good fun. Good music, you know.
Those are uplifting, man. Those are totally uplifting, full of energy and great music, and those are a fun time. Those are a really fun time. Niece, I wanted to ask, actually, this isn't really a question. This is more of a statement. I think I know why they prescribe the painkiller, the over-the-counter painkiller. And you said Tylenol over ibuprofen, or what was it?
Yes.
Or ibuprofen over something else?
Yeah, Tylenol over ibuprofen. The CDC or WHO said something. I don't know if they have the science to back it up, but that was kind of like a preliminary, as they're discovering new things, they're kind of thinking, maybe that's better. I don't know what's it called. It's the chemical in there. So,
acetaminophen or something.
Acetaminophen, yeah. So,
well, the Tylenol will help with the fever. It helps with the symptom, whereas ibuprofen is an anti-inflammatory, and they're thinking that may not be good when you've got a virus in there trying to do damage. So stay away from the ibuprofen, acetaminophen. The Tylenol will help with the fever, some symptoms.
Well, I'm not sure I agree with you there, MoJoe.
Well, that's what the research told me. I got it from a doctor. So where did you get your info from?
And you mentioned inflammation. Ibuprofen helps with inflammation.
Correct.
And that's a big source of the discomfort, is the soreness, just the general soreness that you feel around your body. Your joints, your muscles all ache, and you just feel sore. And you bring down that inflammation, bring down that pain. Yeah, I can see why they would prescribe it. It's helped patients. It's helped them with is that kind of one of the big factors that made you go get yourself tested? Was soreness?
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a couple of days there where I just felt so crappy. If you remember growing pains, if you can think back that long.
Yeah.
It felt like, I was growing and my knees hurt and my back hurt. Yeah, it just hurt. I actually made a little hospital go bag for, with like some clothes in it in case I needed to get up in the middle of the night and go to the hospital.
So smart.
Wow, man.
Yeah. I was feeling that bad. I called one of my friends and it's like, when do I know that I should go to the hospital? And she said, I'm not a nurse. I can't help you.
Well, I think it'd be when breathing becomes difficult is when I would go. As soon as you notice any shortness of breath, I think I would go. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you said that you mentioned earlier tonight that your brother picked you up from the airport wearing all his protective gear, but you drove yourself to the test. You drove yourself to the hospital to say,
Yeah.
So you felt good enough to do that.
I did, yeah. It was a little disorienting to drive, but I was fine enough to drive. It just, you get random, I got like really hot and then I get really cold, but, I could still focus on and drive.
Fever then, yeah. That's what fever does. The fever doesn't like stay at one temperature. It's constantly going up and down. As your body is fighting that infection, your temperature is constantly going up and down. It's staying high on average, but
Yeah, something that was kind of interesting, at least I thought was interesting, is and it's probably due to my age and my, health status, but when symptoms I was experiencing, I was watching interviews with people who had it before I decided to get tested, and I was so positive it was maybe a cold or something else because I wasn't experiencing the symptoms that a lot of people said they were experiencing. Like I wasn't coughing, and for the most part my breathing was fine, and I didn't have a fever until a couple days into symptoms that I finally got a fever, and then I do the thing where it's like, well, is it high enough? And, it's not 103, so was it even really a fever? And but yeah, the symptoms I experienced, weren't. I mean, they were, but when they first started, I was so convinced, or trying to convince myself that it was something else because my experience just wasn't the same as everyone else's.
Yeah. Well, the symptoms, again, I'm going to be grateful that you felt something, that you knew to take it seriously. And, that, again, is what makes this virus so insidious, that there are millions of people out there right now who have it, who are infectious, and they have no idea. They have no clue. So,
and that's why it's so important that everyone takes stay-at-home orders and social distancing and quarantine serious. You can be a carrier and not know. I was for 10 days before I had any idea, and I'm really happy that I, knew. I had the guidelines from the CDC and from WHO and, all those places, and I knew to stay home just in case. Because I could have, completely gone out, and I could have infected 1,000 people and not known it.
Yeah, that's
that
a
would
good
weigh
time.
pretty heavily on my conscience.
Very exactly. That's a great time to journal. And in fact, I'll bet that's what the testers did. The health professionals you interacted with, they essentially journaled your recent life. Your past 10, 12 days, 14 days, where have you been? Who have you been with? Okay. What locations have you been? Have you traveled? Where'd you come from? All that. So.
Yeah, for sure. When the county called me to give me, one of the nurses in the county called to give me my results, she asked me some of those questions, had I been traveling, what I've been traveling to, all those kind of things.
Did you go to a delicatessen? Yeah. Did you have some sushi? Did you ride the subway? Did you, did you go up an escalator?
Where I stayed, and they also wanted to know where I work, so they can keep track of cases. And my work has been really great throughout all of this. I'm really fortunate to work where I do, and honestly, I'm just really lucky to still have a job. I know a lot of people, especially college-age people, have lost their jobs, or they just they've been closed and they don't have any sort of way to make money. And I'm work in such a great environment.
Well, and you're still so very young that your insurance on your mother's policy won't expire for a long time now. I mean, you got to turn 26 before that happens, and so you're in one of the 1% of the everybody who ever gets it. You're in the 1%, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I'm in a really good situation, and I'm really fortunate. And I think it's important to acknowledge that there's a lot of people out there that aren't fortunate and in good situations right now. And people that are lucky enough to have a home need to be staying home for people that are immunocompromised and, and try and order from local businesses if you have the money to help support those local businesses and restaurants that can stay open throughout this, and
Yeah.
and I'm just really
feel grateful. You know how fortunate you are. I mean, you're a young, healthy, active person, and there are how many have died of this so far? Is it not just in America but worldwide? I don't know, but a number of those have been people in their early 20s, or 17-year-olds and infants. I heard of an infant died of this. So you're definitely in one of the desirable groups.
And I'm lucky too to have stuff like health insurance, because if I did need to go to the hospital for whatever reason, I'm in a position that I would go to the hospital because I can. A lot of people might not. They might be experiencing things that they just simply wouldn't be able to afford to go to the hospital, and so they're not going to, even though they might be needing critical care.
And I think most of them will recover too. Most of them will be okay, but not all of them. Not all of them. And it makes me want to get the three of us political for just a moment. Did you guys happen to see the headline I read right before we started podcasting tonight, or remote casting? Donald Trump said, "Boy, it doesn't seem fair that there's 30 million uninsured Americans right now."
Did he really?
Did you guys,
oh my God!
Did you see that headline?
No, I didn't see that. He's just finding out about that now, is he? Wow, good for him. The headline that got me was...
No, it's really not fair.
The headline that got me was the Georgia governor who said, "Oh, well, we're giving a stay-at-home order now because we just found out within the last 24 hours that you can spread it being asymptomatic." Where have you been? Living under a rock? You didn't know that until 24 hours ago? Oh, my goodness.
That info has been around for now, and more than 4. It's been around for a number of weeks. You can have this infection, not know it, and spread it to somebody who will die.
The very first coronavirus video I watched on YouTube told me that weeks ago.
Weeks ago. So, does this mean that Donald Trump is going to out-pivot? He's going to pivot around all the Democrats
He's going to
talk in health care for years.
He's going to become a progressive. Yeah, he's going to become a progressive. He's going to implement a UBI, and he's going to give health care to everyone. He's going to win the election.
And he mentioned, we gotta look at expanding Medicare and Medicaid. It was in the same headline that I read just earlier. We got to expand these things. Because, dear niece, you haven't got a bill yet, have you? Let us ask you that pointed question. Have you got a bill, or your insurance provider got a bill for this?
See, I haven't yet, but I am really curious about that because I do most of my health care through the people I got tested by anyway, so I'm in their system. That being said, though, when I went in, I don't remember anyone asking for my insurance or if I was even covered, so I am not sure. I would assume I'm expecting a bill of probably like $50 for the test. I'm just expecting that because that's, how our healthcare system is. But, I don't remember being asked, so I'm not sure. I haven't gotten anything yet. That being said, I'm pretty sure I will get something eventually, a bill. But, I don't know.
I want to ask you a very snarky question. Okay? Snarky.
Okay.
When you got those big swabs stuck up your nose, did they give you a clipboard full of insurance information to fill out, or asking for a credit card number or anything?
No. The two nurses that did my test, they were very nice and very efficient, but they just came up, told me how the test was going to take place. They did it. And then they gave me a run sheet with, some information and told me to stay home and, to try and quarantine away from anyone I'm living with. Luckily, I live alone. That's another thing that's kind of I've been grateful for, and also it's been killing me. But yeah, no, I didn't get any. Again, I don't remember them asking for my insurance information, so I'm very interested to see what happens with that.
Well, how about when you were on the phone on the hotline, the coronavirus hotline? Did they ask you for any insurance information or anything there? Any way to pay? Anything about, how are you going to pay for this?
Yes, nothing that I remember. So part of me is wondering if perhaps they're doing free testing because, they want to know who has it and where in the state they have it, because if I couldn't afford a test, it's possible I wouldn't go get one,
Mm-hmm.
If I was in that position. So I'm wondering if they're doing free testing. That being said, they didn't ask about my insurance, but they also didn't mention that the test is free. So yeah, I'm not sure where that's gonna fall on the spectrum. Like I said, I'm expecting a bill, but we'll see if I get one.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sad. It's interesting, but it's sad to me that our messaging, as far as our elected officials go, they can't tell us. They're not getting that message out, and we've got a pandemic on our hands. You think they would want to get the word out as far as where to go for testing, who should get tested, is it going to cost? It's all just you hear one thing from this channel and another thing from another channel, and no one really knows.
Well, you're talking media there. You're talking
and the administration messaging,
mixed messages.
Well, that and the administration is doing mixed messages as well. You got Trump up there saying they've got perfect tests. We got perfect tests. Everyone can get tested who wants to get tested. Perfect tests. Perfect tests. Yeah. No, we don't have tests for everyone. We don't have perfect tests. The first batch of tests had to go back because they were faulty. I mean, so who do you believe?
That's where the government has fallen short.
Yeah, totally. Who do you turn to for even the CDC? I've heard some feedback on where they haven't been completely blameless in this whole fiasco of how they handled it.
Yeah, part of the government.
I think we're lucky. I feel like Utah's doing a pretty okay job.
I agree.
With testing and stuff. But that being said, I also feel fortunate that, in Utah, if you are having symptoms, that you can go get tested. I don't know, but I think in New York, it's like crazy hour-long waits. And doing okay, they want you to stay home.
They would advise you to stay home. Yeah. If your symptoms get worse, if they persist, if you get a huge fever or develop a very, very nasty cough, then come on in. But here in Utah, we're pretty insulated in two major ways. The first is we don't get a lot of international travel here, especially this time of year. Like New York and Seattle get a ton of it, Well, not Utah.
With spring break too. We're not necessarily the biggest spring break hub center.
Exactly. And then think of this on top of that is Utah, Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake Valley is known worldwide for being a very good medical research and provision city, place to be. We have excellent medical care here and medical research, and so we're lucky on two counts there. We're not getting a lot of international traffic, and we have excellent medical facilities around us.
Yeah, and I can't state enough that medical workers that have been working around the clock and working around these, maybe some with limited supplies, I cannot thank them enough. And, have enough gratitude for the work that they're doing.
Indeed.
And you've only interacted with oh, go ahead, man, Joe.
Well,
I've had
no worries. I was just going to say, I agree with her 100%. A to Joe salute to those people, but also to the people that, deliver Uber Eats, that work at the grocery stores, that deliver truck drivers. We've mentioned them in past podcasts. All these people are vital. And I really think they deserve some sort of hazard pay or something.
Yeah, essential workers that are, working right now, because, if people weren't delivering Uber Eats, I would not be eating, at some point I'll run out of food, and it's, my social responsibility to stay home. Yep. So, hats off to all the people working right now, all essential workers. They really deserve, hazard pay and our appreciation.
Yep.
Dear niece, you just made me think of a question I have for you this time. Not a statement or a comment, but I have a question. Do you have to? Let me know. Let me say it this way: are you required to divulge you are infected when you order food or groceries or any kind of interaction? Do you have to divulge that?
To my knowledge, no. That being said, I have been doing, I think it's required now. I think it's law right now in the state of Utah. I could be wrong. But I've been doing exclusively contactless delivery. So whenever I order anything, it's requested that they just leave it on the door and knock. And to make sure that they do this, I put a note on my door that says, please leave your front door, thank you. So no one, knocks to hand it to me. If someone was to do that, I would quite honestly just open my blinds and be like, hey, I can't come out. I'm so sorry.
Gotcha. So you're being responsible there. You know the condition you're in or the condition you can present to other people, and you're being responsible. You're just being smart about it.
You're an awesome example of what to do.
Yeah, that's wonderful. You know what, MoJoe? I want to take a moment here to maybe this might just embarrass my niece just a little bit, but it also shows what a great situation she's in right now. The place where she lives alone, doesn't have roommates, doesn't even have a pet. It's just her, and she lives. Oh, you do have a cat there?
Yeah.
Which one? You can say the cat's name.
It's Piper. She's 15 years old, and she's adorable.
Awesome. I love cats.
And she's on more meds than me.
So Tina is with Grandma. Tina and the other one are with Grandma?
Yeah, Grandma's cats are with her.
Okay. So MoJoe, where she is right now, is probably, there's an upstairs and a downstairs. I'm going to guess it's probably 2,200 square feet total. It's a big place. It's relatively new construction, has all of the finest appliances around, and the showers and the faucets and everything. It is just wonderful. And in fact, it has a gate on the other side. My niece lives in a little gated place, and she's there by herself, and she's comfortable, and I'm happy for her.
Yeah, I feel like I just keep saying I'm so lucky that I live in a place and I don't have to worry about losing my house or getting stuck somewhere. Yeah. Even living with my parents right now, they both wanted to come up and kind of make sure I'm doing okay, but they're older and
your parents are your. Go ahead.
I don't want them. I just don't want them anywhere near this. I don't want them getting sick either.
Yeah. Well, that just gave a funny thought to me. Is now that you have tested positive, now that we know you're positive
for COVID-19, that is
the perfect for COVID-19. That's the perfect that's the perfect way to keep your parents away for a while. You're holding up a cross to Dracula. Look, you can't come over here because this could.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So how does it feel to be part of the? Oh, you're also what? You're also what?
I was gonna say I was gonna go visit them this past weekend, and I had to cancel that trip. I'm glad I did. But yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say?
I already forgot. I was so into what you were just saying.
Well, no, it sounded interesting.
Did it? Oh,
yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear anything I say might start off interesting. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, you weren't done. So.
Oh, you were saying something like, how does it feel to be a part of the statistics, I guess? Something like that?
Oh, yes. The only part I forgot there is how does it feel to be part of the 98.7% that get better? You're one of them. You can't feel too bad,
Yeah. It feels good. I'm glad that I'm getting better every day, and that I'm gonna recover and be just fine. There's it's a little bit scary to think like this thing that thousands of people, thousands of people are dying from. I have that thing. And, it's a little scary, even though I know I'm going to be just fine. That thought is just kind of an alarming thought for some reason,
Yeah.
Alarming, unsettling.
Totally understand that. There is a little bit of a silver lining, though. I saw from a doctor two doctors actually were talking on YouTube about this, and they said that you will have some degree of immunity if you contract COVID-19. Because this probably isn't going to go away anytime soon. Hopefully we flatten the curve, it dies off, but it could flare up again in the fall or, whenever. So at least you'll have that in your back pocket.
Yeah, it's kind of a silver lining. I know that some people, I don't know if it's going on in Utah. I've been trying to figure it out for when I recover, but some people are taking blood or plasma or something of COVID-19 patients who have recovered to try and look at, what antibodies or, what has developed in their system, and if there's a way they can try and make a vaccine or something out of that. So as soon as I'm better, I'm going to try and find a place I can go and maybe give some blood or some plasma with research.
What a trooper.
Well, at the very least, go and get yourself tested with a new test. It's not there. This isn't the same test they are using to see if you have COVID-19. This is one that they're trying to develop now to test whether you are actually 100% immune from getting COVID-19 again. Do you have full immunity? And if so, then you are free to re-enter the workforce. You can get back to work and go back to school and start being cool again.
But she's already doing both of those. She's just doing it from home.
Very true. Very.
Thank you.
So that is the point I wanted to raise right there. Have you guys seen that headline? I think they're calling them immunity tests. People who have.
I don't. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. But no, to come. Go ahead. Okay, your turn. I'm holding up.
Oh gosh. Well, I was just saying, I could be wrong. Don't quote me, but I heard that in Germany they're testing most of, or if not all of their population, and people with the antibodies that have, been COVID patients that have recovered, are getting certificates saying that they're good to go back into the workforce and be out of the home. And everyone else is kind of like supposed to stay in quarantine. Again, don't quote me on that, but
it's the same. It's the same. The topic I was just raising is: do we have a test to say this person is immune and they will not infect anybody else. They won't contract it and they won't infect anybody. And we know they had it. We know they just recovered from it. That's the test we really need right now, is how many people can dis-quarantine or un-quarantine themselves. How many people can do that now? And I'll bet it's a pretty big number. I'll bet it is. So that's a challenge. We got to come up with that test.
Yeah, I wish we had that test because, they say to quarantine yourself for 14 days, but you didn't find any symptoms until 10 days. And I've heard stories of other people going beyond 14 days before they saw any symptoms. So I just don't know if that's enough. So if we had a test.
You're talking averages.
Yeah.
That was the average, is 14 days when you feel symptoms. And then once you do, you go another 14 days to let it run its course. But those numbers are not constant. They are dynamic. They move up and down with different populations. You're talking averages.
Just guidelines.
And, as they're learning more and more about it, those numbers might change as well.
Yep.
So, Niece, would you remind MoJoe and me, where are you in the incubation process or the overall process? When did they suspect? Let's assume that you got it on the airplane ride back. So where are you on the total period? The 14 days, the 10 days, the whatever it is. Where are you?
Well, so I got sick 10 days after I was on the airplane. And then I was sick. I started getting sick last Wednesday. So according to the healthcare workers that called me, they both said that when I go 3 days with no fever and no medication to lower my fever, then I will no longer be considered an infectious person.
Interesting.
Okay.
So they marked that down as Friday. But that being said, I haven't had a fever. Yeah, but that being said, I haven't had a fever since Sunday. So I think I've actually already gone past that point.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't feel comfortable with, so much research still being done, needing to be done. I don't feel comfortable in the house. I'm not presenting any more symptoms, so I will be self-quarantining until I know I'm not having any symptoms and I'm not a risk to anyone around me.
So right there, MoJoe, right there, what she just said is she's going to continue her quarantine until she knows beyond any reasonable doubt that she's okay to go out and, go to a wedding, go to Target,
visit her parents.
But she's already probably past infectious period. She probably is.
But
they said 3
she's
days
still feeling
of a
symptoms.
fever.
So it's tough to know. Yeah, that's what they said. It's 3 days without a fever with nothing to help you lower that fever, which makes sense. But, this is such an unknown we're dealing with. I really applaud your decision making, and you're just a model patient. I'm so glad to have you on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
And with that, I think I would like to kind of wrap it up here. Any last comments and stuff, and then I'll have MoJoe do the outro, and we'll just wrap her up.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just saying it's, definitely an interesting topic, I think, and it's kind of nice to share my firsthand perspective on it. So thanks for having me on.
So grateful. Yeah. Such a cool thing. Yeah. There's so many questions that we'll have, and until it really happens to somebody close to us, MoJoe, you don't really think about the questions you might have.
Yeah.
But they're kind of the same that we see on nightly news programs. How are you feeling? What were your symptoms? Where did you find your first, contact? When was your positive test? These types of things. But it's so nice to. I say it there, irony again. I say it's so nice to hear it from somebody so close to us. you know.
Well,
It's
and
not nice.
and it
You
really
don't want them to have it.
no, but it really helps that she's feeling better. She's getting better every day, and it looks like she's out of the woods for the
Yeah.
most part, and that's great news.
Yeah, indeed. There's no pall over this one. No dark
No.
clouds. Where it's not like we're FaceTiming with Cassie while we say goodbye to her because she's going to be dead in 20 minutes. You know.
Oh my God.
Oh boy! On that
We've
note,
all heard
MoJoe, get us out of here. You're digging a hole.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining the Two Kills podcast this evening. We had a wonderful guest, my dear niece, and she shared some wonderful things with us. And we will talk to you again soon. And there are many glimmers of hope.